Tech Heads reunited once again. For this week's episode, I'm going to have to ask all of you to fasten your seatbelts because today we cover the internet. Specifically, HTTP, hosting, domains, IP addresses, and more. We also cover shitty job postings, bad take-home assessments, and even more scuba talk. All this and so much more on Tech Heads.
4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So, here we go.
How you all feel tonight?
All right, well, Tech Heads reunited once again for another episode. Lots of stuff on the docket today. We're talking about, I guess, the internet. That's probably the best way to put it. When you say, Anna?
Yeah, exactly. Well, hello, everyone. Hi, Victor. I think it might sound general, but that's essentially how I would put it too. So the internet and, a couple of other, I think, topics related to it. Like, we're going to get into it, obviously.
Yeah, but, don't stress yet. It's just the internet. I know you all know what it is. And if you don't, just go watch like Wreck-It Ralph 2.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, I don't think I've seen the first or the second movie. And so many people have told me to because they're like, "Okay, do you like animated movies?" Yes. Do you like, I don't know, geeky, like techie or video game movies? Yes, absolutely. And I still haven't seen any of them.
You should definitely at least check out the second one. You don't need to watch the first one. It's not like you're going to miss anything crazy. But in my opinion, Wreck-It Ralph 2 is like the best visual representation of how the internet works.
Really?
It is like spot on. It's almost like how Monsters, Inc. is really good at representing wormholes and stuff. Like they got that down. With Wreck-It Ralph 2, I would argue that they did like almost on the same level of representing the internet and how data flows and request response, everything like that. It's really, really cool. I've seen it probably like 5 times, and I'm like, I pick up something new every time. I'm like, oh, that's really funny how they visualized that is how you should turn that into a kid's movie, but that works.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely have to check it out because I know like one of my favorite animated movies of all time is Big Hero 6. I love that movie, and I've seen it quite a couple of times too. I even saw it when it came out in the theaters. So yeah, we have Disney Plus. So I'll have to check out. Wreck-It Ralph is Disney, right? I don't even know.
I'm pretty sure it's Disney. I think so too. Know.
Anyway, yeah, I'll look for it since it's highly recommended, especially after this episode. Might paint I think a cool picture.
Exactly. We're gonna get a little more advanced, I would say, than the topics that Wreck-It Ralph 2 covers. But
yeah, right.
Yeah. Well, before we get into that, I do want to share some crazy big news. I got a dog.
Woohoo!
I entered the dog family club.
Yeah,
I officially have a son.
Pet parent. Yeah, exactly.
It is crazy. We rescued him a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. And it's this organization that drives the dogs from Texas to bigger cities that have, a high demand for dogs. So, in Portland, it's honestly like pretty hard to get a dog because there's so many shelters that this is honestly like a good problem, but so many shelters have these dogs, but there's so many, young, couples and stuff, or just people who want dogs. So like these dogs are just like flying off the shelves. And in Texas, I think they have more kill shelters, or maybe Portland just doesn't have kill shelters. I don't really know the whole story, but this organization drives them, to cities that have a high demand for dogs. And I went to a PetSmart to meet up with them, and I was expecting kind of this like small thing where like, they have maybe 5 or 10 dogs, and then you get to meet the people who are in charge and meet every single dog. And, if you don't like, vibe with any of the other dogs, you don't have to. But oh my gosh, I pull up to the PetSmart like 40 minutes early because I just have this feeling like, oh, like, I should probably get there if I want to get the dog that I, really want that was on Pet Finder. But boy, did I not pull up enough early. There were people who camped out in tents outside of this PetSmart. And even though I was 40 minutes early, I was still like in place 100th in the line.
Oh my God.
And I waited in this line from like 9:20 a.m. to like, I don't know, 1:30 p.m. Just me in the cold.
Oh, jeez.
So like, I didn't even care what dog was left. I'm not leaving without getting a dog. Everybody in line behind me was in the same boat. They're like, they made us wait this long. Like, I'm taking whatever dog they have.
Yeah.
And I think I got the last puppy.
Really?
Yeah, I think I got the last puppy because after that, they were kind of going out into the line and showing mostly bigger dogs to the, like, because they would bring the actual dogs out and let people kind of meet them first before they dedicated their whole day to waiting in this line. So that was good. But yeah, I think I got one of the last puppies. And,
how many dogs did they have? Like,
oh yeah, they had 80.
80 dogs. Oh, wow.
Big trailer. all just packed full of dogs.
Damn.
Great Danes. I mean, what's the other one? I can't think of a single other dog.
Just Great Danes.
Literally just, every, like, puppies, grown dogs, everything in between. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what kind of dog we got. It's like some sort of German Shepherd, Lab, sort of hound mix thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's very cute. Oh, congrats to you guys. I know that you have been talking about it. You've been looking for a little while, no?
Yeah, it's definitely been like a few months long journey for us for sure to like find the correct dog and even like get to them on time, because it seemed like when we would go on Pet Finder and we'd find a dog that we wanted to meet, they'd be like, oh well, dog's already taken, and it it'd been posted for like a couple hours, so you kind of have to be really on top of it.
Right.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked on him. He's a really good dog. His name's Pablo.
That's awesome. Pablo.
Yeah.
Where'd you get that idea?
Well, it's funny because when I got him, his name was Tony. Okay. And this dog, he was, 12 weeks, 13 weeks, I think, when I got him. So it's not like he was ingrained, like the name wasn't ingrained into his brain, so I don't feel too bad about changing it. Mm-hmm. But I didn't really like the name Tony. It just it wasn't fun. And I feel like if you want to name something Tony, like name a child Tony or something. But with a dog, you can name it like Watermelon or Lollipop. And just
right, exactly.
So I was on my way home with Dylan and we're like, what are we going to name you? Like, we don't really like Tony. And this song called, I don't remember what song it was actually, but it was basically a song by this band called Boy Pablo. And we're like, oh, Pablo would be like a cute name. So we just kind of stuck with that. And we say like, come here, boy. And it's like funny because, that's almost like his first name. And then Pablo was his second first name.
Boy Pablo.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cute. I think it suits him after seeing his face. Yeah, definitely.
I know. I feel the same way. And everybody who meets him is like, oh, like Pablo Picasso, Pablo Escobar. We're like, no, Boy Pablo. Of course, nobody knows what that is. I'm like, okay.
Pablo Picasso or Escobar it is. Cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it suits him too. And everybody seems to say the same. So.
I think since you had some news, I have some, definitely not as exciting, but I am done with regular classes for this term. I only have one final exam left. So, I know.
Enjoy
if you ask me like what I was feeling 2 months ago, I didn't even know I was going to make it this far, to be honest. But yeah, it turned out to be definitely, like a test. This time last week, I was presenting my intro to software engineering, the group project that I had for the whole term. I was presenting that with my group. Yeah, it went really well. Because I for the first two sprints we had presentations that didn't really go our way. Like we were missing a few things, so that kind of like knocked our confidence. But after we pulled together and spent like hours, coding together as a group, we were able to finish on a good note. And so classes are done. I just have to review for a final this upcoming week, and then that should be it. And then I have some exciting plans for the summer. I've been in touch with some professors about doing research over the summer, so I'm going to be working with a bioinformatics professor about building a pipeline for their data and reporting efforts, that they're trying to work on. So it's going to be like I don't know what the exact description is, but anyway, it's bioinformatics, so it's genomics. We're going to be pulling genomics data into the school's supercomputer, because UF now has a computer called the Hypergator.
Oh, I was just gonna ask if it had a name, because at my school I forgot the name actually. Oh gosh, but yeah, I was gonna ask if it had a funny name. The Supergator?
Hypergator.
Oh, Hypergator. Okay.
Hypergator, yeah. So I'm pretty excited about that. I think it's going to be a very good collaboration. It's mostly, a learning experience, but obviously, there will be something that I'm hoping I'll be able to deliver at the end of the term. It's not like there's tons of pressure because, like I said, it's still part of academics. But I'll be happy to help them, because that's what she's trying to do, is like build an organized set of genetic information about cancer, so they can eventually use that for their other research plans for the future. So I'm going to be doing that, and then taking another Python class. So I'm actually looking forward to the summer quite a bit. Last year, it kind of sucked. I took like an ethics class, which was interesting, but it was just writing essays. And then
I remember that you watched like The Office for your homework.
Yeah. Oh, no, actually, that was for my technical writing class in the fall.
Oh, that's right. That
class was good. I got to watch a couple of like comedy shows, so that was cool. And then, but for the summer last year, it was ethics and then data structures, which was a monster. That class is always like a test. Ask anybody, I think, that does CS, but yeah, this it's more like electives, essentially this summer, so it should be fun.
That's gonna be exciting.
Yeah, I know. I think after that, after the summer, it's gonna be just 2 more classes and then done. So it's going by so fast. I mean, if you think about it, we're already going into May of this year. It's insane how fast it's going by. So I just take it like a week at a time and do my thing, and hope for the best, but should be interesting.
Wow. Well, speaking of supercomputers and stuff, I guess we can kind of go into the internet.
Yeah, let's do it.
It's so awkward, like saying that we're going to be talking about the internet, because I feel like that's so cheesy. Because like the internet is literally just like, it's a network of, things that connect computers and stuff. Yeah. But it's so hard to like not sound like a 90s educational video explaining what technology is, like with the god awful matrix, like ones and zeros just flying all over the place.
Right, exactly.
But in all seriousness, I guess, to kind of explain what the internet is, physically, it's, cables and data centers and routers and servers, Wi-Fi towers, satellites, all that stuff. All that stuff is physically what makes up the internet. But like I said earlier, it's just a network that connects computers to each other. And of course, that's that doesn't encompass exactly everything that is going on, because there's so many big topics that we're actually covering today that nobody talks about when they actually mention the internet and what it is today. But these big topics are actually what make the internet what we're comfortable with nowadays.
Yeah.
So, I guess to start off, maybe we should start with maybe the beginning of every address or website domain, and that's HTTP protocol. What do you think?
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
I figured that made sense because it's the beginning of the address, and we see it all the time, and I'm sure there's so many people who don't even know what it is. So,
Right. And yeah, that's a good starting point because it's kind of like covering the anatomy of what you see like in a web browser,
Yeah.
like when you're going to a website. So yeah, makes sense.
All right, let's do it then. So, HTTP protocol. And first of all, totally off topic, but I think it's so annoying that there's words like, or acronyms like ATM, or PDF, like people will say ATM machine or PDF format. It's like redundant because that last word in the acronym is what that word is.
Exactly. Yeah.
So like
yeah.
HTTP protocol is like what people say, but the P stands for protocol. So it's like, I don't know. I think it's annoying.
Protocol.
Yeah, that's always something that's grinded my gears. But anyway, let's see. HTTP protocol. So basically, what this is it stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol, and it handles the communication between servers and clients, where servers are basically where the data is held, and clients are people like you and me, and the people who are listening. You guys are the clients, where you just are on the internet, you click a button, and you see data populate on the screen. It uses multiple methods that we actually talked about in a previous episode, Anna, the API episode. Get, put, post, delete. Those are all HTTP methods. So don't think about it too deeply. It's basically just how the internet is run in terms of its rules, and just how everything is put into place. So I think if I remember correctly, the first one was get. That was the first method that was put into place, and there was nothing else that made technological sense to even make, or nobody had ever thought about it. That's my understanding, at least.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I was going to say that probably makes sense. I didn't know that get was the first one, but I guess that is probably, it makes sense because, you're just trying to pull data from a server. So,
Yeah, it was in the 90s, I think.
oh, okay.
Yeah, and all you would get is just some HTML and stuff.
Right. Yeah, I think to go into, like you said, the definition of HTTP and HTTPS that we can talk about in a second, but I mean, I interpret it as the same thing, really, like the communication between a server and a client, so your data center, and then your computer, your mobile device, anything that is really getting or having some kind of exchange of information with another, with your data source, which would be the server. And then in the middle of that, you have your web browser, because that's sort of where you perform that transaction. Without a web browser, I mean, how can you go into a website? I don't think you can. I mean, I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if there's something else out there that you could use, but
maybe not. Not that I don't know. I guess I'm thinking terminal wise. You can get everything that you can get from the internet. You can get a lot of that stuff in the terminal. Your NPM packages, and I even have a package that it's a Node package where wait, no, it's Python actually. You basically type in Python get joke, and it just returns one of a couple hundred jokes that are stored in this array, probably in Python.
Oh, cute. Okay.
Yeah, but I didn't download it, so it's obviously on the internet. So I don't know, but yeah, no, browsers obviously changed the game.
Yeah.
But some of you might be wondering, okay, well, why do I see HTTPS? You just said HTTP. God, it's such a mouthful to say. It's basically it's the exact same thing.
Right.
But now the data is actually sent back and forth encrypted. So by now, this is, industry standard. That's why we see it more than HTTP. Because now browsers, they warn you when the site doesn't have it.
Right.
And there's actually a huge incentive to actually have that S at the end so that your site is actually ranked higher on Google. And Google indexes the sites without the S lower because they're usually not as secure, they're not as safe because nothing's encrypted, obviously.
Yeah.
And that plays into a whole different topic, which is search engine optimization, which we won't get into. But yeah, simply put, the S just stands for secure, and you can easily get it by just installing like a certificate. And I know you can do this on WordPress and whatnot, and you can also you can get it through your hosting provider, which we're gonna get into hosting soon. But yeah, it's usually super simple. Sometimes it's a nightmare. I know Anna has handled a couple nightmares with this stuff.
Gosh.
Yeah.
I guess
I've watched her.
I guess we'll get into like when we go into, like you said, hosting. I can probably share some experiences I've had with hosting providers and SSL issues, all that good stuff.
It's usually not the most difficult stuff to worry about when you're developing anything or deploying it, sharing it with the world. It's usually not the most troublesome portion of your project.
Yeah.
But every once in a while you get something weird that just breaks everything for a month and you're like, what do I do? Like, that's insane.
Exactly. Yeah, because I mean, like you said, since we're dealing with a topic that's so
Broad.
like broad, yeah. In terms of coding an application and deploying it, like that stuff it's easy to recreate locally. Now, when you're talking about an issue that, I can even share like about the group project that we've recently wrapped up is being able to deploy it so other people can access it. Like when you're dealing with hosting and domain names and all sorts of stuff, like it's another can of worms that, you can end up having troubles with, that if you didn't really budget time for in the beginning of your project, then it could put you in like a tough spot. Yeah, we can talk more about that later.
Yeah. Well, that's why I figured this would be smart to cover, because, a lot of developers skim over this topic so that, like you said, when they are done developing, they didn't allocate the amount of time that it takes to get everything sorted out in terms of domain name, IP address, DNS, hosting, all that stuff. They didn't realize that this was a totally huge and extensive topic that they should have learned more about. So now their project's late. So yeah, that's kind of like the whole point with this. With that being said, though, maybe we can get into domains and stuff, since that's essentially what goes after the HTTP protocol.
Yeah, exactly. Makes sense.
Yeah, it's so a domain name is just that thing that goes before the .com or .org or .whatever it is, and it's essentially just an identification string that defines this realm in the internet where your site lives. It gives it this authority that hey, my site can be here. One of the main purposes of domain names is to actually put this pretty face in front of the IP address, because it's the same idea as calling all of your friends or texting them by only putting in their phone numbers. You don't do that. You type in their name, in your address book or in your iMessages. An IP address works just like your house address in that it just pinpoints the location of the website on the internet. But it's also not just for websites, it's for computers, because computers have IP addresses. They have their servers have them, routers. What else? Basically anything connected to the internet has an IP address. Otherwise, it can't be on the internet legally, I think, or it just won't connect. I'm not really sure about that portion, but you can easily get a domain for your site or your web app just by going on GoDaddy or Namecheap or A2, basically anything like that. It's not, totally insanely hard to do.
And super affordable too.
Depending on the name.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. That's another thing. There's like I think it can be domain name brokers. Like that's an actual job. Like people can make a lot of money. I don't know if it's still like, a big thing. But I don't know. Like let's say you bought like bitcoin.com, I don't know, 10 years ago, like you could probably be selling that for way more now than what you paid for, uh, despite the current dip.
I know people who do this to this day. They buy domain names that, obviously haven't been taken yet because they think that one day somebody will come up with that idea. And I've been in this situation actually, now that I think about it. I was building a whole system for this real estate company. And before we had even gotten started, they hadn't told me, what the domain name was. So once I was about to get started, they're like, "Oh yeah, we don't have one yet. Can you can you just get like our company name?" I was like, "Oh yeah, no problem. Like that'll be easy." Sure enough, they're like every like iteration of their company name was taken.
Oh damn.
So we had to make it like totally different, which sucked for them, but they just weren't well versed in the whole idea of, an online presence.
Yeah.
So, that kind of sucked for them, but it's because of people like the brokers or similarly named companies who were lucky enough to get the domain name first. I actually heard a horror story about Google, I think, where they didn't renew it or something in time and somebody beat them to it and owned it for a minute. It might not have been Google.
Like a long time ago?
I don't remember when it was. I heard about it like within the last year, but who knows when it happened. Wow. It was a really big company that hadn't renewed it like immediately. So, some sucker on the internet's like, twiddling his fingers like, "Oh, I wonder how I'm going to do this." And, sure enough, caused, just mayhem.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I think I came across, I can't remember which domain it was either, but another one of those cases that the owner, the proprietor of the domain ended up like selling it for, I think it was like hundreds of thousands, if not millions, because the company had become so legit that they wanted it to be, like that. They wanted the domain. And this guy made a crazy huge, like profit on it because he had it for like 20 years or something. I really wish I could remember. Maybe I'll look into it a little later. But yeah, it can, be lucrative. But going back, I think to, projects or like even for my portfolio, for instance, I just had like a simple HTML page on GitHub. And then GitHub allows you to, if it's just like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, you can use GitHub Pages, which is, and then that's like your domain name for your website. And I used that one, I think, for a little bit, but then eventually I just went ahead and I purchased, like 2 domain names through Namecheap, which is super affordable. It was like 20 something bucks like every year that it gets renewed. And I highly recommend it because, I mean, if you want to share, like, my portfolio is just like, first letter of my first name and then my last name.com. And it's super easy to share that with anybody. So instead of, giving out an IP address or a really long GitHub Pages link, then, it's a way to be able to like spread the word, I guess, especially if you have a business. It's a good way to allow people to remember what your business is called, because I mean, people will, once they find out about anything, the first thing they probably do is go online to reduce, some research. And if they remember that domain name, then boom, like you have a potential customer. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, the most important part, is definitely picking a good one if it's available, or jumping on it as soon as you can. But I guess we can, let's look at exactly how this connection is made between domains, IP addresses, and the internet. It's done with DNS, which stands for Domain Name Server, and it kind of acts like the metaphor I made earlier, where like it's like a phone book in your phone. Like the DNS is what is responsible for making that connection between IP address and domain name.
Right.
So if you want to contact somebody, you can either put in their whole phone number if you remember it, or you can just, put in the cool name that they have or whatever. And of course, you can't call somebody on your contact list if you don't have their phone number. That's the other like sort of funny concept. Like if you're having connection issues getting into a site, or your site has issues like nobody can access it, it's because something is not connected with DNS. Like nobody can access it unless your domain name is pointing to the IP address. Exactly. See what I mean? Like, yeah, there's just like there's no connection to the global internet.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And that's why I think it's good to go through like a DNS provider, because you, as long as you understand like what you're looking for and like what you're paying for, because I mean, if you have your app in, I don't know, even if it's like deployed through Heroku, for instance, or like AWS or whatever, and you just want like a $20 something domain name, all you really need is to buy that domain name, and you can point like your like the IP address, or the domain name. Because in the case of Heroku, like once you deploy an app, you can name it whatever, but then if you don't have like the paid plan, it's going to have like the .herokuapp.com in front of it. So, if you just want to clean that up and put, myapp.com or whatever, then you could buy like a domain name. And like, Victor said, it's made possible through the domain name system. And you have something cleaner to share with, the internet, basically, about your app, instead of just like a mixture of like numbers, that is like an IP address.
That actually flows into hosting. We could jump into hosting too.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, hosting is just the process of renting or buying space to house your site on the internet. It's just like in real life how you you house hunt and you look for a place to live. You're basically looking for a place to house your site's content, which is the big three. Going back to that episode, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. It doesn't have to be just those three things, but it holds everything that your site relies on to work. And it's housed, on another company's servers. That's why they can actually rent out this space, because they put in all the money to build all of these servers and, have the ability to handle a buttload of traffic to your site if that's what you want. But, hosting providers, they usually provide like a few different tiers of hosting plans. So like if you have like a small blog that you don't think is going to really be that traffic heavy, then you can get like the most basic cheap plan and nothing's really going to break it. But if you're, in the market to buy or to build a huge, e-commerce site or, something along those lines, you probably got to put in a pretty penny to handle the traffic. So you get probably the highest tier that the hosting provider offers. But with bigger corporations, they won't even do that. They'll actually build their own in-house and have like UF, what is it called? The
Hypergator.
The Hypergator. Yeah, along those lines, like the company will build their own sort of server to handle it, so they don't have to actually lose money in the long run. They'll eventually just own it.
Right. Yeah. So I think, to go back to that research project, I think the way that it's going to work is like my professor or her lab has a cluster within Hypergator. So the way I see it is, she's also like allotted a little space in that hypercomputer server that should be able to run, her her pipeline to be able to pull all that data that they'll be using. But I see it as, pretty much like the same idea. And maybe the inner workings of it is, a bit different. But yeah, like you said, hosting is just essentially renting that space. And then you have, really popular companies like AWS and Azure and, I think HostGator also does it, and SiteGround. Like these are all like big name hosting services that, you can allow you can purchase like a little bit of space to have your app hosted on their servers for everybody to access, really.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of different types of hosting. So like some of the ones you mentioned, those are cloud hosting providers. But there's also, shared hosting, there's virtual
On-premise.
private servers. What did you say?
On-premise, like if you have your own physical server. Yeah.
I was going to call it a whole ass dedicated server.
Yeah. Currently at my job, we're actually transitioning to on cloud because we still have some like on-premise servers, but it's really, I think that it's like so old school that a lot of businesses, especially after COVID, I think that was like a big pushing factor, was to, convert everything to cloud. And there's like a big effort from even like tech consulting firms, to push people, to push their clients, or not even push, rather, I would say there's a big demand from clients hiring like big consulting firms to go on to convert, their businesses from on-prem to cloud, because then you can access it from anywhere, really. In our case, we use Google. And so, there's quite a bit of like progress going now for us to convert to like, some of our old school on-prem servers to cloud. And so far, it's interesting to see.
Yeah, with my company, we definitely have a really, really big system. So since we have, so many offices and whatnot all across the world, we have to be able to access these servers from wherever. So, you have to do the multi-factor authentication to actually get in, and you can't access, almost any of your work unless you, can multi-factor authenticate. But it is really nice because I don't have to go into the office to actually do work. I've only been to our office one time, and that was to pick up all my new equipment. But it's really nice that it is set up like that, so you can work from home and still be secure.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
That's the biggest part, because this is how companies go out of business. Just one breach, and it's all gone, and your name's ruined.
Yeah, unfortunately. We use a VPN like when we work remote. It's pretty solid, obviously. Like there are definitely security measures that you must take when you have it, like when you're talking about enterprise. And in our case, we have the added, I think worry, or like not a consideration that we're dealing with medical services. So we have to consider, patient confidentiality, medical information, that if that gets out, then it's a huge, huge compliance problem. So yeah, we have to be careful there.
Heck yeah. It's funny because the company I work for, it's an ethics and compliance company. So I always picture like headlines of like something like that happening.
Right.
The amount of shit they would get for doing that, because it's like, you're an ethics and compliance company.
Yeah,
How
I know.
You let this happen.
Seriously, yeah. If you guys can't get it right, then there's no hope for us.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I'm pretty confident that everything should be fine. It's been doing fine so far. That's all I really want to talk about as far as the internet goes. I didn't really want to stress anybody out too much, as usual. I like to be pretty chill.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we painted a good picture. And it was nice what you mentioned, like if you just boot up a browser screen, the first thing you do is you go to like the web address tab or address bar. Yeah. And that's where, like your internet journey, I think, kind of starts. Like you have your what protocol you're using. You're using HTTP or HTTPS, and then where do you expect to go? And then you enter your domain name that you want to go to. I think we covered pretty much everything that I think is worth sharing for now, without getting too crazy.
Oh, I think so too. I think it's time to transition into some terrible job postings.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. So I came across a couple, but this first one is interesting. The title actually caught my attention. Usually, you have to really sift through all of them because, they all pretty much have the same name. It's like, front end developer or software engineer or just something super simple. They don't usually do anything too crazy. But this is the title for the job posting.
Oh, gosh.
Front end /UI/UX/web/full stack developer.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
It's remote, so that's cool. Honestly, the job description itself isn't anything out of the ordinary. It's pretty simple. It's like 5 years experience, doing full stack. Oh wait, that's really weird. You have to have 2 years of remote work experience to do it. I don't know. That's pretty weird to me. I feel like I don't know. Any company can train somebody to work remotely, and especially nowadays, you don't need to do that really, just because not everybody, but a good chunk of people nowadays are used to it anyway. Mm-hmm. But yeah, 3 years of front end development experience, 5 years of full stack development experience. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the 2 year gap, which I assume is to make up for the back end stuff, but. Yeah. I don't know. Typical HTML, CSS, JavaScript frameworks, Node, React, Angular. Wait, whoa, React and Angular. That's different.
Uh-huh.
Microsoft Office, Excel, Slack, Zoom. A pretty solid job. But, when I see the title, it's just like, that's just whack.
Yeah. No, that is awful.
I think they were trying to hit people who are searching for jobs. They're trying to get everybody. Like anybody searching for a UI job or a web job or a front-end job. So maybe that's what they were going for. I don't know. But I do have another one that is just, it hurt my heart to read.
Oh, jeez.
So the title for this job is, pretty long too. The official title is IT/web design support /accounting /data entry specialist. And
that's like 3 departments.
That's what I'm saying. It's crazy. So the job description basically said like you have to design and maintain a WordPress site. Okay, fine. So far so good. You have to help people with technical issues. Okay, no biggie. You can do that. The next thing is that you have to be able to take and edit photos and videos. Okay, we're kind of getting away from like the whole development thing. Mm-hmm. You have to expect to answer 6 to 7 phone calls per hour. Jeez. You have to do data entry and data analysis. You have to prepare bank deposits, run credit reports for customers, cover for other team members, and label products for a fair $20 per hour.
Oh my goodness, great.
And the hours are 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., I think.
Are you serious?
Monday to Friday. $20 an hour to do 7 jobs.
Yeah, exactly. That is crazy.
Absolutely rough. And you have to be prepared to cover for other team members. Like, oh my gosh, you are the other team members.
Yeah, exactly.
It sounds like that's what the job is, just covering for people you don't want to hire. Just absolute BS.
I don't have like a specific one that I come across. I think the one thing I noticed, it wasn't about like the job description itself, but it was sort of like a, part of the technical interview process. I came across some chatter on the Old Devs channel the other day, and this guy was in the process of, going through like doing the take-home test. So they sent that over to him, and then he said that he looked it over. It was going to be like at least 10 hours worth of work or something. I think it was even longer than that. And then he said, because they were very like, I mean, he pasted, the contents of like the email, and they were like, oh, go ahead and take a look at, the compressed folder were attached, and, take a look at it. Let us know how long you think it would take you to complete it. And then he just got back to them, and he's like, okay, first of all, this will take a couple of days to do, and I don't work for free, so thank you so much. And I'm withdrawing from the application process because it was so apparent that they were just trying to get work done for free, and oh my gosh, that just boils my blood. It's crazy. And unfortunately, some people still fall for that, I think I don't think I've ever had to build anything too elaborate. But I'm sorry, if it's going to take more than like, I don't know, 5 hours, 6 hours, I would probably say, no, I'm not doing any work for free. If you want to see what I can do with this, then you're just going to have to hire me.
Yeah, I've literally gone through that exact situation, and I wasn't able to really confirm that it happened, but I had to build some sort of scraper that sifts through emails and like finds essential information for the user.
Yeah.
Which sounded like such a weird test, but I was game because I just wanted a job.
Yeah.
And I finished it and I submitted it, and I never heard back. But I reached out. I was like, hey, like, did it work? Blah, blah, blah. And, still nothing. It worked totally fine for me. And I don't know, it's not like a typical sort of interview thing that you do. It just seems like something that you didn't want to pay somebody to do, It's such a custom tool.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
So yeah, beware of weird stuff like that when you're in an interview. Just if you get, bad vibes, probably not a good sign, but
exactly.
A typical thing would be to, if you're doing like maybe a front end role that you're interviewing for, a pretty typical thing I think is they might give you an image of a page, and then they would ask you to just recreate it. And obviously you can't like inspect the elements of the page to copy and paste the code. You just have to do it visually and everything. And that kind of shows experience, which I think is totally fair. But, it really shouldn't take you that long. And if it does, maybe you're just not qualified for the job. So it's just, that's a pretty good one, I think. But yeah, if you're getting something that's very specific and weird, like some sort of scraping tool for emails, like I don't know. I should have gone with my gut and not done it, but
I think that brings up like another point, because when you're starting out, like in your career, you don't want to say no to opportunities, So like, regardless of the fact that maybe you did do work for free, like you learned something by doing that, right? And you already know, I guess, not to do it again. Like if you come across that same kind of project, that will take you hours on end, and it was super custom. You're just going to be like, no, you're going to have to pay if you want me to.
Yeah. It's really easy to say because like I'm not dying for a new job or anything, like the people, like when I did that, I was desperate for a job because I think I was still scooping ice cream or something. I don't know. I was doing like, some stupid job. I definitely hadn't had my first developer job yet. So I was just hungry for anything. And I was just willing to do it. But yeah, once I had gotten my first job, I definitely was only applying to things that I wanted to actually do and not just like everything I saw. So that was that's definitely, better. I don't know. I guess once you do get your first job is when it's easier to say no, like you said. So
yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's an important skill, like not being a yes man, because there are things that you have to learn how to say no to. Obviously, that comes with experience. And then, the more experience you have, not just in life, but like professionally, you'll be able to, be more selective about what you want to contribute to, when you're looking for another job or even within a job. I feel like sometimes, at my current job, been there for a couple of months, not that I say no, but I am like, okay, if you want me to go ahead and start doing this, like we're probably going to have to do a bit more brainstorming. I can't just say yes to anything. Oh, go ahead and like build a brand new, I don't know, we need to like centralize our logins for every single application in the company. Okay, well, let's take a, you know, a step back and let's try something out first. I have no idea how we're going to do this. Got to talk to the network guy and, you know, find out about a tool. Like you can just say yes to something like that. And I'm definitely not more, you know, like not as afraid to say no, or that I need more time to think about the requirements, you know. I think that's an important skill that you develop as you go.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, like I said, it is also kind of situational because, you know, you have the luxury to be picky.
Yeah.
So that's a whole other thing to take into account as well. But yeah, what about stuff that you recommend? I know that you came across something pretty cool this week.
Yeah. So I had heard about this browser, you know, to kind of like segue into or to piggyback in the topics that we had today about the internet and browsing and websites and all that. This browser called Brave. It's an open source web browser developed by Brave Software Incorporated. And I think its biggest selling point is privacy, you know, because that is like such a big topic of conversation nowadays, where your browsing history is, you know, it's not private. It's very much recorded and tracked to understand what people are really looking for.
So it's like the DuckDuckGo of browsers.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Nice. And I just started. I downloaded it, I think, like a few weeks ago, but I've been using it for the past few days, and I love how like sleek it is. In, you know, how because I've been definitely more of a Firefox person. I use Chrome only when I. Have you? Yeah. It has the cool little lion logo.
Okay, I was wondering what that was.
Yeah, I really, really like it. Firefox is my go-to. It's my default on my phone and on my laptop now. Because Chrome just eats up the RAM, and, you know, my fan just starts going, and I only use it when I really have to, which fortunately is rare nowadays. But yeah, I like Brave so far, so I just wanted to plug that and, you know, have people go take a look and read up on their, you know, like privacy conscious policies, and how, you know, they're trying to, I think, I don't know, you know, shed a light into something that we think should be owned by, you know, big tech companies, because they're the ones like. Chrome is, you know, developed by Google, and it's a huge browser. A lot of people use it. I use it at work. But if you can, you know, make life a little difficult for them, you know, about what it is that you're looking for, without having you, like, you know, traced at every second of your internet experience, then why not? So, and I'm always interested in browsers, because I think that the software itself is quite incredible. Like, if I ever were to like meet and talk to a browser developer, I think it would just make my day, honestly, because it just, the inner workings of it, there's so much at play here in, you know, comparison to like, I don't know, other softwares. It really intrigues me. So yeah, I'm always happy to try out new browsers for the experience. I've used so many different ones, you know, Safari, Opera, Chrome, Firefox, the Firefox Developer Edition. I don't even know. And now Brave. I think I might even have like something else installed in my computer that I don't use anymore, but I'm happy to try it.
Wow. It's kind of hard to, at least for me, I don't know. You seem pretty well practiced in it, but migrating all of your shit from one browser to another has to be so annoying. Like, all your passwords are saved, and like all your bookmarks, and you know, your auto completing. It's just like you have to let the browser learn you again. I think that's crazy.
Yeah. After a while, I I think because right now, like my Firefox, like my toolbar is just the icons, right? So I have so many icons on mine that I don't even need to know like what the website name is. I just go by the little logo, that's on the toolbar. And yeah, my Firefox, because it's been, my daily driver for like a couple of years now. It's pretty much the one that I'll probably continue using. I just wanted to, check this Brave one out and see what that was like. It is also based on the Chromium web browser, I think, engine, so I think that is related to Chrome as well. And yeah, it's, so far I like it. Like I said, it looks sleek, that always catches my eye. Like if it looks nice, it has like the dark theme, and it looks pretty organized. It's really hard to get it wrong, really. Like the keyboard shortcuts are the same as you would expect in other browsers.
That's good to know.
I thought that, it was a good recommendation considering what we discussed today. What do you got?
I recommend something that I actually got through work. It's a docking station. It's made by StarTech.
Ooh.
And it's really nice. It has just like every possible port you could imagine. And it connects the two monitors and, my work laptop, my personal laptop, my hard drive, my microphone, my speakers, my soundboard, everything. And my mouse. So like I don't have to take the little USB Bluetooth thing from my mouse out of each laptop whenever I want to switch. It just stays in the dock.
That's a good thing about a station, huh?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I'm used to the dongle life on a Mac. And I've always thought that was just the way life was going to be. But this dock really changed the game. I didn't buy it, so it's hard to like say like, oh, go out and buy it because it's super nice. Because it's like $300. But I mean, this thing really is a powerhouse. It just it does everything. It's super sick.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know that we have one at work. I just never brought one home because I just plug my work laptop to my big monitor here. But yeah, I like the one at work a lot because it's, like you said, you can plug everything into the docking station and then it's just like one little cable that goes, I use like a USB-C cable that connects from the docking station to my laptop, and it's as simple as that, really. Good recommendation.
Pretty solid. Same to you. Well, do you have any last words? Do you have anything you want to get off your chest and tell the world, or do you have any advice for people, or I don't know. What's the scuttlebutt?
I don't know if I have anything else that I came across this week. I definitely, because we had like assignments due later in the week, it's been very nice to take the evenings like for myself after work and kind of like, I mean, I still watch TV and I do some browsing online, but it's been nice to get that like rest from like full being in front of a screen, like, for so long. So I think, it's underestimated how it's so fun. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love, being able to work in this field and also learn everything from school. But the break that you get and like the mental clarity and the rest, like it's so important, and yeah, I think, it's, if you're feeling burned out, like for anyone out there, just take like a few days to yourself. Like the world is not going to end if you don't open up your computer for like 2 days. It's important to get that, that time to relax and maybe go out, get some exercise, go for a walk, like, I don't know, go get a drink with your friends and just, step away from the screen. It's important to do that.
It's funny you say that. I actually had a pretty heavy week, and I had to do that with, a part-time thing that I'm doing on top of this, also remote, and also at home at my desk, same sort of development stuff. But, it adds a lot of time, and sometimes things go crazy and it requires more time than you allotted for it, and people get upset and you get stressed, and then that could put an impact on another job that you have. And, I definitely had one of those weeks where it was just like so much was going on. And I did what you basically said. I said, hey, I have to take the rest of the week off and just clear my head and get a little bit of a break, because I'm not going to be able to, do any of this right now in the stressful state that I'm in because of this. So just like give me a couple days off and, let me get my stuff together. So yeah, the power of just a little bit of a break to avoid that burnout it just goes such a long way. So yeah.
It really does. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, with that being said, everybody go tell your boss to F off and take a couple days off.
Right. Yeah, seriously.
It's always so weird transitioning from something heavy to like lightheartedness.
I know. Yeah, that's true. I've definitely noticed that too. I think that, at my previous job, like when we worked together, and like if I wanted to leave an hour early to like do something or like take a day off, obviously I had less, time off at the old job than I'm getting at this new one. But it's I don't think that like that was ever like a big problem. But my boss now is pretty like, hands off. I almost like, do they trust that I'm really working? Because the guy barely checks in on me. I obviously I answer to him and I want to let him know that I'm getting stuff done. But yeah, it's nice to be trusted. I think that's the good thing about, a job when like he made it very clear even before I started that I wasn't going to be micromanaged. But the expectation is there too. So, there's a little bit of stress, but, yeah, it's nice to know that, they also understand that life happens. Oh yeah. Like last Sunday, I got my second vaccine shot. So on Monday I wasn't feeling well. I went into the office for about like 3 hours, and then I was just like, hey Mike, do you mind if I leave, because I feel like crap right now? And he's like, no, just go home. So I took the rest of the day off and it was totally fine. So it's like super off the books too, like it's not even like I had to go into the system and put in that I was taking like sick time for like half a day or a little bit more than that. He was like, no, look, there's nothing, I didn't really have anything to turn in that day anyway. Yeah, so, it's nice that they don't, I think, put that much pressure on us. There are busy days and not so busy days, but I think with this whole, like, the vaccine, they've been seeing that a lot of people have adverse reactions to it. So it's kind of to be expected that people are going to not feel so good. And, it is what it is.
Yeah. I'm glad they understand that life happens, and,
yeah,
you're not the type of person, knowing you, that would be like every other week, be like, hey, my dog is, not feeling too good, or, oh, like I have an appointment. Can I just like take off? Like, you're scheduling wise, obviously super responsible, and everybody working with you knows that. So they trust you and they know it's not like this thing that happens all the time. Otherwise they're going to take note of it, and you'll be on somebody's radar about it. And, as somebody who likes to kind of be hands off as well and not be micromanaged, I like to keep it the way it is and not get in trouble. So yeah, I guess my advice is to, follow the rules at your job and play it cool and just keep the flow going, I guess. And, don't kill yourself working too hard.
Yeah, exactly. Take the time off that you need, because your boss, I'm sure they're not going to fire you for needing a day off or something. Within reason. Obviously, there are times where it's not like the ideal moment, to be off, but they would probably benefit from having you with a fresh mind than, someone stressed who's going to end up getting sick because they're too stressed, you know. So good managers will understand and they will give you the time off that you need. So you can go back and, you know, be more productive than before. It's important to get that time off. So, yeah, don't be afraid to speak up. Mental health is very important.
Yeah, my company actually expects me to use a certain amount of my vacation days by a certain time because they want you to, you know, take your breaks and like, you know, just have some time to yourself and not be stressed. And, you know, so far, people on my team, it seems like once a week, somebody has to take their days off. Like,
oh, wow.
Yeah, it's actually really refreshing because now I'm like, I'm not as worried for when that time comes for me when I like need to take some days off because it seems that everybody's super chill about it. So
very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna be taking. I mean, I am about to come. Actually, tomorrow is gonna be my 3-month mark, which is unbelievable to me.
Insane.
Actually, you know, it kind of feels like it's been more like 6 months. I don't know. I feel pretty at home there now. But I'm gonna be going to Mexico, you know, next weekend with my family. So yeah, 3 months in, I'm already taking 3 days off. And I mean, my boss didn't really blink an eye. Like I have the PTO, so why not take it? You know, so I'm not afraid to. They gave me, you know, those days off for a reason. So I'll definitely want to make sure that I take advantage of that. It's important too.
Nice. Are you scuba diving?
If I can't scuba, then what's this all been about? What am I working for?
I forgot I still had that.
What am I working? Yeah, right. Oh, good old Creed. Yeah, so okay.
You're scuba diving for real?
I think, well, my sister sent me the links of 2 things that we're doing. I think, oh no, actually not scuba diving, parasailing and jet skiing.
Oh, okay. Classic Mexico sort of vacation.
Yeah. Because last time I went with my mom and sister, we just did the excursion to one of the islands over there. So, you know, like they had the boat pick you up and they served like, you know, meals on the boat and then dropped you off there. You got to enjoy a couple hours and then you came back. They fed you again. So like you're super well fed and hydrated. You know, they take really good care of you. But we decided to, so we're going to do another one of those. I think just going to a different island this time. But my sister and I decided to go with the parasailing and jet skiing activity as well that we came across. So I'm pretty excited for that. I love jet skiing. It's so fun.
Well, have fun with that. And
thank you.
Make sure you update the community on, you know, any fun stuff you might be doing out there. And
absolutely.
Yeah. We'll definitely, I don't know, we might be taking a week break. We might not be. We'll see what happens. We like to kind of go with the flow on that. So,
right. Yeah. We can always post something on Twitter as, you know, as next weekend approaches.
Yeah. Who knows? I know everybody will be cool with it. So,
yeah.
And if you're not welcome here. All right. Well, I think it's time for Tech Heads to check out. So, peace.
Thank you, guys. Good night.